to completely remake the way that people are moving back and forth, our H-1B visa system, how we're dealing with the movement of people, how we're dealing with immigration. This is an economic development opportunity, and we are missing it.
Thank you, Governor. Brett.
Chris Wallace has the next round of questions.
Thanks, Brett. Governor Romney, you have changed your position in the last 10 years on abortion, on gay rights, on guns. You say keeping an open mind is a strength, but some of your critics say that every one of these moves has been to your political advantage. When you were running in Massachusetts, you took liberal positions. Running now as president, you take more conservative positions. Is that principle, or is it just politics, sir?
Well, I'll begin by taking exception with your list there. I did change my...
Which one?
Gay rights. Well, I'm firmly in support of people not being discriminated against based upon their sexual orientation. At the same time, I oppose same-sex marriage. That's been my position from the beginning. With regards to abortion, I changed my mind. With regards to abortion, I had the experience of coming into office, running for governor, saying, you know, I'm going to keep the laws as they exist in the state. And they were pro-choice laws, so effectively I was pro-choice. Then I had a bill come to my desk that didn't just keep the laws as they were, but that would have created new embryos for the purpose of destroying them. I studied it in some depth and concluded I simply could not sign on to take human life. I vetoed that bill. I went to the Boston Globe. I described for them why I am pro-life. Every decision I took as governor was taken on the side of life. I am firmly pro-life. I've learned over time, like Ronald Reagan and George Herbert Walker Bush and others, my experience in life over, 17, 18, 19 years has told me that sometimes I was wrong. Where I was wrong, I've tried to correct myself.
If I may just pick up, you say the one issue which I was wrong on was gay rights, correct, sir?
Mm-hmm. What was it? I don't recall the whole list.
It was abortion, gay rights, and guns.
You know, I've always supported the Second Amendment. And we had a piece of legislation that came to our desk that provided an assault weapon ban. The gun lobby favored it because it also did things that the gun lobby wanted. Working with them, we decided to sign the bill. So you can say, well, I've changed my position on that, but I've been pro-gun and continue to be pro-gun.
If I may, sir, in 1994, when you were running for the Senate, you wrote a letter to the log cabin Republicans in which you said, I am more convinced than ever before that as we seek full equality for America's gay and lesbian citizens, I will provide more effective leadership than my opponent, who was Ted Kennedy. In 1994, you also said you supported not only an assault weapons ban, but also a 5-day waiting period. And in 2002, when you were running as governor, you said that you supported the tough gun control laws in Massachusetts. And then, as you say, in 2004, you also signed an assault weapons ban. So you are still more of a champion of gay rights than Ted Kennedy was?
I think you just said exactly what I said, which is this. Let me go back and say that. I do not believe in discriminating against people based upon their sexual orientation. There's some people who do. I had a member of my administration, my cabinet, who was gay. I didn't ask justices that I was looking to appoint, rather, people who were applicants for jobs, what their sexual orientation was. I believe as a Republican, I had the potential to fight for anti-discrimination in a way that would be even better than Senator Kennedy as a Democrat who was expected to do so. At the same time, Chris, in 1994 and throughout my career, I've said I oppose same-sex marriage. Marriage is a relationship between a man and a woman. My view is, let me tell you, protect the sanctity of marriage, protect the sanctity of life. That's my view. I've had it for many years. Thank you.
Senator Santorum, you have campaigned on social issues as much or perhaps more than any other candidate on this stage. Are you persuaded that Governor Romney has made these changes, or what he says in some cases are not changes, based on principle and not political expedience?
Governor Romney, when he was governor of Massachusetts, was faced with a Supreme Court decision that said that traditional marriage was unconstitutional. In that court decision, the court said that they did not have the power to change the law in Massachusetts and rule same-sex marriage legal. Why? Because in the Massachusetts Constitution, it states specifically that only the governor and the legislature can change marriage laws. Governor Romney, the court then gave the legislature a certain amount of time to change the law. They did not. So Governor Romney was faced with a choice: go along with the court or go along with the Constitution and the statute. He chose the court and ordered people to issue gay marriage licenses and went beyond that. He personally as governor, issued gay marriage licenses. I don't think that is an accurate representation of his position of saying tolerance versus substantively changing the laws. I've had a strong, consistent track record of standing up for the values of this country, not discriminating. I had a no discrimination policy in my office. But we're not talking about discrimination. We're talking about changing the basic values of our country.
Governor Romney, 30 seconds to respond, sir.
That's a very novel understanding of what our Supreme Court of Massachusetts did. I think everybody in Massachusetts and the legal profession of Massachusetts and my legal counsel indicated that the Supreme Court of Massachusetts determined that under our Constitution, same-sex marriage was required. And the idea that somehow that was up to me to make a choice as to whether we had it or not was a little unusual. We got together with our legislature, and I fought leading an effort to put in place a constitutional amendment in Massachusetts to overturn the court's decision to make marriage as a relationship between a man and a woman. This is something I battled in the year I had after their decision. I fought it every way I possibly could. I went to Washington testifying in favor of a federal amendment to define marriage as a relationship between a man and a woman. Let me tell you, I want to make it very clear. I have been a champion of protecting traditional marriage. That continues to be my view. If I somehow missed somewhere, I'm happy to get corrected, but that is something I feel very deeply.
All right. Congresswoman Bachmann, you say that Speaker Gingrich has a, quote, inconsistent record on life, and you have singled out comments he made recently that life begins with the implantation of a fertilized egg, not at conception. What's your concern?
Well, my concern is the fact that the Republican Party can't get the issue of life wrong. This is a basic part of our party. Just last night, we gathered in Des Moines to talk about this issue because it's that crucial to our party. And one of the concerns that I had is that when Speaker Gingrich was Speaker of the House, he had an opportunity to defund Planned Parenthood, and he chose not to take it. That's a big issue. And also, I think even more troubling, when he was in Washington, D.C., he made an affirmative statement that he would not only support, but he would campaign for Republicans who are in support of the barbaric procedure known as partial birth abortion. I could never do that. And as a matter of fact, George Will asked the question of Speaker Gingrich. He said this. He said, is it a virtue to tolerate infanticide? This is a seminal issue. It's something that we can't get wrong. And as President of the United States, I will be 100% pro-life from conception until natural death.
Speaker Gingrich.
Sometimes Congresswoman Bachmann doesn't get her facts very accurate. I had a 98.5% right to life voting record in 20 years. The only
No, go ahead.
The only difference was that they didn't like the initial welfare reform bill, which every other conservative group had said had nothing in it on abortion, period. That's the only one in 20 years. I believe that life begins at conception. The conversation we were having, which was an ABC interview, I was frankly thinking about proposing a commission to look at fertility clinics because I think there is a challenge with what happens to embryos who I think should be regarded as life because by definition they've been conceived. I am against any kind of experimentation on embryos, and I think my position on life actually has been very clear and very consistent.
Let me just ask you, I want to ask you a direct question, if I may, Speaker. Now, that was your rebuttal to Congresswoman Bachmann.
But can I rebuttal, have a rebuttal for getting my facts wrong?
Absolutely, Congresswoman.
because this isn't just once. I think it's outrageous to continue to say over and over through the debates that I don't have my facts right, when as a matter of fact, I do. I'm a serious candidate for President of the United States, and my facts are accurate. Speaker Gingrich said that he would actively support and campaign for Republicans who got behind the barbaric practice of partial birth abortion. This is not a small issue. This is a big issue. And I think George Will was right when he asked that question. What virtue is there in tolerating infanticide?
We're way over time, so I'm just going to ask you for 30 seconds, sir, to respond on that specific issue.
What I said on that particular issue is I wouldn't go out and try to purge Republicans. Now, I don't see how you're going to govern the country if you're going to run around and decide who you're going to purge. The fact is, twice when I was Speaker, we moved the end of partial birth abortion. Clinton vetoed it. We worked very hard, and Rick Santorum has been a leader on this issue. I have consistently opposed partial birth abortion. I, in fact, would like to see us go much further than that and eliminate abortions as a choice. And I've said as president, I would defund Planned Parenthood and shift the money to pay for adoption services to give young women a choice of life rather than death.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Chris. Candidates, Ronald Reagan famously espoused his 11th commandment. Thou shalt not... I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, let me just finish this question. We're running out of time. Ronald Reagan famously espoused the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican. Yet, to varying degrees, during this campaign, you've all broken that one way or another, broken that vow. So I guess the question is, how do you balance, on the one hand, trying to win the nomination, with, on the other hand, not weakening the eventual nominee to the point where he or she is less electable than President Obama? Down the road, Senator Santorum.
We have a responsibility to vet the candidates. That's what, look, I've been at 350 town hall meetings. I've been kicked pretty hard by a lot of Iowans about the positions I hold, and that's the process. The process is, let's find out who can stand up. Let's find out who has the best record, who's the person that can have the consistency of going out there and fighting for the principles that we believe in. Because let me assure you, the other side's going to kick very, very hard, and we have to have someone who can stand up for it, fight, and holds those convictions deep so they can fight the good fight in the fall and win this presidency.
Governor Perry.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think that was the Republican chairman, not Ronald Reagan, that actually said that.
Oh, he espoused it. That's
right,
what I said.
Indeed he did. But there's an NFL player, his name doesn't come to mind, but he said, if you don't get your tail kicked every now and then, you're not playing at a high enough level. And I just want to give all of you all credit for letting me play at a high enough level and for training me the way that you have.
Governor Romney.
Yeah, we can handle it, and there's nothing that's been said by these folks on the stage about me that I'm not going to hear 100 times from President Obama. He's going to have $1 billion to go after me or whoever our nominee is. We're going to give each other what we need to for people to understand who we are. But let's not forget this. Let's every day remember that time and time again, this is President Obama we got to be talking about. He has unveiled himself as a president that's not the right person to lead this country.
Speaker Gingrich.
Well, I think it's pretty clear if you look at my ads, if you look at my website, if you look at how I've operated in the debates, that while I reserve the right to correct attacks against me, overall I've tried very hard to talk about very big solutions, to go to the American people with a communication about what do we need to do. And I've said consistently, these are all friends of mine. Any of these folks would be better than Barack Obama in the White House. Any of them would be great in the next administration. Our only opponent is Barack Obama, and we need to come out of this process remembering beating him is what we collectively have to do.
Congressman Paul.
Well, you know, the media has a responsibility and we have a responsibility, and I think exposing our opponents to what they believed in and their flip-flops. I think the reason maybe that we had to do more this year is maybe the media is messing up and they haven't asked enough questions, so we have to fill in and ask these questions and get this information out. So, no, I think it's a responsibility on us. I think there should be lines drawn. I think there are some things below the belt. I don't like the demagoguing, the distortion, and taking things out of context. I don't like that. But when they disagree on an issue, important issues, then we should expose it.
Congresswoman Bachmann.
Ronald Reagan also brought clarity to his opponents that he had in his primaries as well. And he famously asked the question in 1980, are we better off today than we were 4 years under Jimmy Carter? And I think the Republic is in far worse shape today under Barack Obama's leadership. That's what we're exposing now. Who will continue that legacy of Ronald Reagan, and who will take Barack Obama on toe-to-toe and hold him accountable? And I think that I'll be the best one to do that on the stage.
Governor Huntsman.
I actually worked for Ronald Reagan, and I think he would have been the first to stand up and say, debate is good. It must be respectful, and it must be rigorous. A rigorous debate will lead to greater trust. And the one thing this nation needs desperately today is heightened trust in our institutions, in our tax code, in our wars abroad, in Congress, toward Wall Street. And I'm here to tell you that this kind of debate over time